With me is Alice Ukoko, founder of Women of Africa. Alice, thanks for coming on the show. First, tell me about what Women of Africa does.
Well, Women of Africa is a charity that is set up in 1996, registered as a charity here, to give voice and platform to women of Africa as we deal with the many issues that face Africa.
Well, your ideas from your press releases seem at variance from a lot of government, British government ideas about what's happening in Africa. You seem to be saying that Libya, the Libyan intervention wasn't a great success, for instance.
Well, I feel that the Libyan, intervention in Libya was completely inappropriate. I argue, and in fact I did write to the British Prime Minister and Obama, whether they get it or not, and New York, to say that they should have given dialogue a chance. Because obviously the African Union was on one side saying, look, let's deal with this in our way. But instead, the world decided they wanted to go in. They wanted to go in, and the damage that was done, they may not see it.
But no one agrees with you on this.
Well, they don't have to agree.
Seemingly, in the mainstream media, no one agrees with what you're saying.
Well, the point is, most of it, I've been told many times, that the success, what is seen as success, is created and engineered by the media, because we are talking to the ground. We are talking, and we saw the damage that did, the civilian lives that were lost. And of course, what is so very painful in all of this is the fact that Gaddafi was killed. And we argued it. I argued it in Germany when we were trying to get into Libya to convince the Libyan leader to leave, because otherwise the NATO was going to kill Gaddafi and say is the rebels that killed Gaddafi. And at the end of the day, you actually will see that what has happened in Libya, in actual fact, is an affront to national sovereignty. The voice that we bring is a voice of reality. The voice that we bring is a voice.
You're not a supporter of Gaddafi.
I'm not a supporter of Gaddafi, because obviously I don't agree that governments should stay in office, individuals should stay in political power across Africa and then pretend to be elected by the people, when we know that no African government is actually elected. What we are seeing is that the culture of Africa, the development of Africa, is actually coming on the back of people that create, the engineer it to meet international standards. And by saying this, I would say that there are few governments in Africa, of which Eritrea is one that I hold very dearly, because I've associated with the Eritrean women, and they have made me believe that they were party to the creation and the liberation of Eritrea.
Well, we cover that on our show quite a lot. This government, well, certainly the United States government, doesn't share your view on Eritrea. But one ally of the West in Africa is, of course, Nigeria, one of its most populous countries. You write, if I may say so, very movingly in your literature about it. Tell me about your recent relationship with Nigeria, because I understand you were assaulted by security forces.
Not assaulted. I think I have had a run all the time with the Nigerian government, and they've tried to murder me, if you like, because they don't like what I say, and obviously what I say is the truth. You look back to Nigeria now, you will find that what I have said over the years have actually become the reality on the ground. The world may listen to Goodluck Jonathan, who says, don't worry, everything is in order. But then when you look back, you will then see, if everything is in order in Nigeria, why is it that the West will advise their citizens not to go to Nigeria? So if everything is well, why can't people just go? The truth remains that the reality in Nigeria has continued to be that the people have constantly agitated for freedom from a country that was put together by artificial means. Because Nigerians never said, okay, let us all be Nigeria. Nigeria is made up of many independent ethnic nationalities. And these were put together by Britain, as we know, in 1914. And this has continuously been a huge point of discord for the people on the ground. plus the fact that the Niger Delta, the wealth that became created, and I'm happy to say that I'm actually from a place called Uzere in Delta State. Well, Uzere has been a single community that has yielded about 56,000 barrels of oil, crude oil, every day since 1956.
I was going to say that the power may not be Britain now, but
Yes.
ExxonMobil, Total, ENL...
And Shell.
And Shell.
Yeah, and Shell. You see, and the point remains that what has happened is that because of that huge oil wealth, a lot of individuals have rushed into political offices, and in these political offices they have no intention of governing anybody. So it's become a scrabble for the rush for the wealth of the people and of the nation for individual use.
Well, I know, I mean, you seem to advocate peaceful struggle. It was weirdly Kennedy who said, if those who make peaceful struggle impossible make violent struggle essential or inevitable. Surely, after decades of this going on, peaceful protest really hasn't got the Nigerians and the Delta people anywhere when it comes to
That is very
activities.
correct. And then also you will find that if you look back now, because one of the things that happened by 2002, 2003, the people I call the rogue politicians. These are people who came into politics not because they have anything to offer, nor indeed do they actually understand what's going on.
Friends of Bill Clinton, because I remember him addressing the Nigerian parliament very vividly in my mind.
Yes.
Celebrating Nigeria.
Yeah, you find that, well, these are some of the things. And in fact, last year, a security operative in Nigeria, when I called, said to me, well, you know, the international community like what we are doing. In inverted commas. And what are we doing? What we are doing is that we are holding down, we are repressing the people of a country. That human beings, every human being need hope and aspiration. And if you kill that, especially you hold them down, there's no means of livelihood for them, there is no security, and they have a life that is not better than that of animals. Now, when you have a situation like that, then you are actually creating unrest, and you are creating a situation where the people don't care anymore because they've died living.
Well, they've murdered famously, I suppose, Ken Saro-Wiwa and others.
Yes.
Are you free to go back to Nigeria? I mean, you said that they would murder you.
Well, when in 2007, I challenged them, and I said I wanted to run for the governorship of Delta State. Delta State is and that's where my Uzere sits. And of course, Delta State produces like a mini Nigeria within the 36 states of the body that becomes the geographical area that we know as Nigeria. And we know that the reason that the corruption, that the environmental degradation, that the killing that is going on is because there's no viable government. If you, as a head of your home, you are not there to maintain law and order, obviously everybody will run amok. And that's the situation that we have in Nigeria. So that's what we have, anarchy on the ground. People will tell me, like I was told this morning, there is kidnapping going on, there is armed robbery going on, there's sexual abuse of children going on. 2 days ago, a father flogged a 5-year-old to death because she went to look for her mother. I mean, we have all of this. We have a situation where a husband kills, murders his pregnant wife, and some people come and say, well, now just let him go. This is the situation that we have. And of course, all of that is moving across into the international arena, because obviously, as we know, the world is global. So what we say, when the world says, let Nigeria go, let there be peace so that the oil can flow in Nigeria, what you're actually doing, you are opening your frontier to a lot of international crime, and there's hardly anyone in the whole world who will say they've not received a scam mail to say pay this into that, and this is...
I know that Shell executives probably don't share your view as they go through tinted windows, but your organization is called Women of Africa, and what you've been talking about is an entire underclass, class politics rather than identity. Why call it Women of Africa?
Well, the truth is, it's very difficult. If you look at women in Africa, women, as I told them, I was in Tripoli last year, and I told the gathering of Africans that the African women are the ones that define the culture of Africa. We define the tradition of Africa, and yet we
Seems a bit biased, but
well,
anyway.
It's not. It is a reality. Now, if you go into what I talk about is reality, and people will say, "But that's harsh." Yes, but it is a reality. Now, if if you tailor, if you engineer reality and get the kind of tailored view of a people and of a nation, or in fact of a continent, what you get is a runaway idea that takes you into somewhere completely different from where you should be. So because of that.
And I know your group is particularly interested in trafficking of women.
Yes, we are. We are very concerned.
What can you possibly do? What do NGOs... I mean, we talk quite a lot on this program about how NGOs are utterly useless, are at best sometimes corrupt. What makes Women of Africa different to the usual NGO which receives money from states and seems not to do anything? I mean, we have lots of people on telling us NGOs
Women
are
of Africa, we hope, will become, because if you look at the program we're now having, we're now campaigning for about 3 years now, we're campaigning, haven't been here and supported one-on-one Africans, women that have been trafficked. People talk about children, international trafficking. I have actually supported a 61-year-old woman that was trafficked into this country. So we have a lot, and I've spoken for a long time, and many times, spoken on radio program to talk about the challenges and the dangers that international trafficking poses for humanity. And of course for the whole world. It's not just for Africa. Of course for Africa as well. But what you find is that we don't go... what I say is very, very critical of the reality. Because we talk about
what happens to them? What happens to women who are trafficked to Britain, for instance?
A lot of them are really completely lost. A lot of them are being exploited, even in the UK, because I know. And we know also that enslavement is happening here.
In Britain.
In Britain, there is impoverishment that is going on here, as increasingly a lot of Africans are now faced with the burden of sending money back to Africa in order to give, to pay rent and do things for people on the ground. And my argument is that that is not in the interest of Africa, nor is it in the interest of the people in the UK or wherever in the world. Where you begin, and in fact you could trace the origin of trafficking to money remittance, because a lot of parents, as the poverty bites, and why is Africa poor? It's not because Africa is a poor continent, but because corruption has eaten into the very fabric of Africa. And the reason this has happened is because the world has accepted corruption and the proceeds of corruption into their various countries. Of course, it helps the world to have all these millions and billions and the business that these people bring into their various countries. But what you fail to realize is that this is actually proceeds of corruption, and it's actually leading to impoverishment, and that impoverishment has a multiplying effect.
You must come on again to talk about the corruption in more detail. Thank you very much. I hope that's given our audience at least a glimpse of the kind of issues that your organisation has been dealing with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with the head of Women of Africa. That's it for this week. You can email us at comments@doublestandardstv.com. I'll leave you with what may well be the defining issue of the US presidential elections, courtesy of Herb Unk. See you next week.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how their protests used to make me smile. 'Cause I knew we could ram it through before they ever had a clue. Then maybe they'd shut up for a while. But the protest grew and made me shiver. Pelosi and Reid could not deliver. Now our push for health care would have to wait till September, October, or next year.